subscribe to the content that we're putting out, please make it official. Hit that sub button, leave a like, and disrespect that notification bell. And just in case you haven't seen this week's episode, or maybe you just don't care, in any case, be forewarned, there will be major spoilers from here on out. So before we get started, can we pour this a little bit out for my homie, Enoch? Man. No!
No! No!
But we must carry on. As we are led to believe by last week's trailer, despite Yo-Yo's efforts to correct the time drive malfunctioning, their problems seem to be far more complex than anticipated. The Zephyr has somehow made a jump within a jump, opening up a time vortex which is slowly pulling the team towards its center. Now, we initially start this episode off with Daisy waking up in the healing chamber, which is the first time for us, the audience. But after a few times of doing things repeatedly, we realize our team is stuck in a time loop. Now here's an interesting fact. This episode was directed by Elizabeth Henstridge and is her directorial debut, adding to the fact that the show writers wanted to do something that they haven't done before, makes for a unique S.H.I.E.L.D. entry. So, the references, right? Well, so when I initially watched it, I kinda sorta picked up on the Edge of Tomorrow vibe, only the reverse of what Tom Cruise's character was going through. Since Daisy and Phil are our main protagonists in this entry, whenever Daisy dies, her memory resets, unlike the Edge of Tomorrow movie. Which, to be honest, they could have maybe kind of tightened up or strung the tension of that dynamic just a little bit tighter, but it's something I'm not going to really worry about or even give it a negative critique because of, especially when there's a lot more important details in this particular entry. Now, despite the fact that time is warped, resulting in the loops, it still doesn't negate the fact that with each loop, the team is still slowly traveling to the center of the vortex. And what's worse, is the only ones who are unaffected are Daisy and Coulson. They are able to somewhat figure out the why of this dynamic with the theory that since they're the only ones to wake up in a chamber of sorts, they're the ones who are able to retain their memory. Now, after a few run-ins at solving the vortex dilemma, Daisy and Coulson come up with a strategy to retrieve the memory inhibitor implant from Gemma, who would know how to solve it. But they realize that someone is not going to let them retrieve it without consequences. At first, they screen out possible suspects, only to later discover that the only one capable of sabotage will be Enoch, if he was programmed to protect the valuable information in Gemma's memory. After all, she knows information that will be deadly in the wrong hands. And as it turns out, they were right. Enoch was consciously the unknowing saboteur, purposed to stop all who would tamper with the implant at all costs. Now, after a few attempts to distract Enoch, and after a few run-ins with the fully powered Chromicon, which was a little funny by the way, they finally retrieved the implant, allowing Gemma to come up with a solution, and, not to mention, another startling discovery. Before we move forward, a quick and pleasant detour is in order. Most of the fans of the show have been rooting for a Daisy and Daniel social courtship ever since their time together when they were held captive by Nathaniel Malik. I don't know why I was getting that wrong for so many videos.
Seriously, what the fuck are you doing?
Or we could have been picking up on Daisy and Daniel's relationship. But I digress. It seems like they got their wish after all. During one of the many loops where they attempted to stop a hell-bent Enoch, Daisy takes a time loop to have a sit-down with Sousa. She thinks that nothing seems to faze Sousa. He explains he feels the need to be there for people like her, who are determined to solve a problem at all costs, even if it means running into a wall, and that they need someone like him to be able to pick them back up. But when he specifies who that person is, it seems very close to home for Daisy. And she knows from that point on, whatever she needs, he'll be there. And after their last failed attempt, Coulson's last words are to do the same thing, only faster, leading her to do this. Now, it is worth noting that after this, they loop just a few more times after this encounter, meaning meaning Sousa won't have any memory of his confession or her reaction. But I'm quite sure more than likely this is just the beginning. I'm pretty sure most fans feel the same as well. Despite the fact that Enoch is our mystery saboteur for a good portion of this episode, and is an overall force to be reckoned with, we are hit with a turn of events that, quite frankly, I just didn't see coming. That is, until the music started playing, and then we had to watch it all play out right before our eyes. So during the moment when Gemma's memories flood back to her, the solution to fixing the time drive becomes clear. There's an electron displacement regulator that is only in one place aboard the ship, and that is in Enoch, which is compatible to the time drive. But unfortunately, it acts like a heart to Enoch, and once removed, will be the death of him. But the crazy thing is, as soon as Enoch hears this information, he removes his heart in a sense without any hesitation or second thought. Thankfully though, his sacrifice was not in vain, and just before oblivion, Deke was able to perform the necessary repairs in order for the team to escape the time vortex. And finally, in his last moments, giving us his affirmation, penning the title of this episode. We've been with Enoch ever since the end of season 4, and I've enjoyed Joel Stoffer's portrayal of Enoch. Thank God his end was in the last season, man. He will be missed.
R.I.P. Ricky!
Now after some very cryptic last words from Enoch, and him saying that he has seen the future, and not to mention that this is their last mission, it is certain that our team will encounter much more before it is all said and done. And a callback to when Daisy was just honing her newfound powers, her older sister Cora is reveling in unleashing the destructive potential in hers. And judging from the looks of the trailer for next week's episode, they're gonna have their hands full with stopping this new rising threat. Well, that just about does it for this installment's breakdown. Please make sure you stay tuned in the Content Meta for the upcoming breakdown of next week's episode. And until then, see you then.